Justice fighters, justice warriors, how are you guys? Good morning, Larissa. Oh, it's so nice to see you. It's just you and me, girl. You got your coffee, your tea. Um, wow. I just don't even know where to begin. And I just want to start with my opening spiel. Everything I say is simply my opinion. It is seriously for the sake of conversation, hoping to have an intelligent discussion. I almost said a intelligent discussion. There's a lot of that, right? Anyway, I'm hoping to learn something. I'm hoping that other people are here to learn something, and I'm hoping that we can all help each other out and learn together. My videos are made specifically for YouTube, and YouTube is an entertainment platform, so I find it imperative to include that in my opening disclaimer. So, are you still here, Larissa? If you are, say hi again. If you're not, that's okay. If you had to run for whatever reason. So, you guys, I'm wanting to jump right into Idaho 4 because that's where I feel like my heart is. But my heart is also in Memphis. Yesterday, I mentioned that there was a sixth officer relieved of his duties. And I wake up this morning to find out that a seventh officer has been relieved of his or her duties. They're not saying who the seventh officer is. So I find that interesting. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but I do want to mention another case from the Black Lives Matter repertoire that is probably going to be in the news a lot coming up. And that's the case of John Crawford III. If you haven't heard of him, look him up. John Crawford III and Walmart, and you'll get it. Or maybe I'll drop it in the links too. So John Crawford III was shot in the cat food aisle 9 years ago at a Walmart, not too far from where he was born and raised in Cincinnati. So, he was carrying a toy gun around, I think that he was planning to buy for his son. And he was on the phone with his girlfriend or something like that. And then he was either on the phone with his girlfriend or he was with his girlfriend. But the reason I want to mention his girlfriend is because there was a caller that called 911 and said, "Oh my God, there's this black guy running around shooting people," or something crazy like that. So they came in, they said, "Drop the gun," and they shot him in about a second, maybe 3 at the most. So they did not give him time to respond. The caller was lying, straight up lying, not just misinformation, but disinformation. Finally admitted it way down the road. But the officer's job is to come in and assess the situation, not to take the 911 caller's word for anything, because the 911 caller is not a professional in all situations, right? So it was an epic failure. John Crawford was dead. It was August 6th, I want to say, 2014. It was in the summer. It was just about 3 months before Tamir Rice, the 12-year-old boy that was murdered in a park, I think outside of Cleveland or in Cleveland, because he was playing with a toy gun and the police mistook it for a real gun and killed him. Hey, Larissa, awesome. You always have tea. I love it. I gotta highlight you, girl. How are you? It's nice to see you here. So, yeah, to assess the situation. Hey, Kaz, thanks. Good morning, ladies. Oh, I love it. Just the three of us is a rockin' little tea party, huh? Not that kind of tea party, the cool kind, the kind where you're spilling it. Anyway, Tamir Rice, John Crawford III. So John Crawford III has gotten no justice. Thank goodness his father actually works for the justice system, I think he's a probation officer, parole officer. He might be a lawyer. I'm not 100% sure. He doesn't live in Ohio. If he did, it probably would have gotten justice sooner. But, John Crawford III's parents split up a long time ago. So his mother lives in Ohio. His father, who really knows how to play the game, so to speak, lives out of state. He's been as patient as they come. And recently, in November of 2022, he finally got the green light from a special committee in the court system to sue Walmart for wrongful death. So it doesn't get the police officer in trouble, I don't think. It doesn't get the disinforming caller in trouble. However, it's some kind of justice, and a lot of people have heard of John Crawford, and a lot of people haven't. So it was from 2014. So you probably heard of it back then. And like I said, it was 3 months before Tamir Rice, the 12-year-old. And there was a lot of other stuff going on. But anyway, uh, when we had the whole thing with George Floyd happen, John Crawford got kicked up again too, and it had been 7 years back then, 6 years maybe. But now here we are at 8.5 years to be precise, and it's finally looking like there's a possibility for some justice. Like they've had zero. So I'm really happy about that for John Crawford Jr., his father, and for John Crawford. There's probably a fourth, because John Crawford III, the one that was shot in Walmart, he had a little baby son. Oh, but I'm so sorry. I almost forgot to say the reason I was mentioning his girlfriend, and again, I'd have to look at my notes. He was either on the phone with her or he was with her, and he was on the phone with his mom or something like that. He was shopping with one person and on the phone with another. Both were women. Anyway, that girlfriend of his was trying to seek justice. She was quite the activist. I don't know if she had been before, but she was after. I want to say she was the one there with him. But anyway, the point is that she died in a crazy car accident 4 months later on New Year's Day at 3 in the afternoon. Her car was allegedly going 100 miles an hour in a downtown type of area, residential area, where there's like turnaround, or not, what are those things called, turnstiles, where they have those in the road instead of traffic signals, and basically in an area where you really can't do more than 20. So she was doing 100 at 3 in the afternoon, and her passenger died in a huge fiery accident. It was very Karen Silkwood, and nobody heard about that. Nobody has heard about John Crawford's girlfriend that died in a very strange and suspicious fiery car accident. And even the news tried to portray it like it happened at 3 in the morning, like it was just another one of those, New Year's Eve partying gone bad kind of things. It was 3:30 in the afternoon, I think, on New Year's Day. And again, that was probably New Year's Day 2015, because John Crawford was August 6th, 2014. Anyway, I think we're all going to hear a lot more about John Crawford again, hopefully. His family and him, his son, his dad, his mom, everybody that loved him and knew him deserves some justice, at least an apology, an acknowledgement, something. But money always helps, right? I mean, that's just how you do it. You penalize people financially, and then they clean up their act. You penalize businesses financially, and it motivates them to clean up their act. So we'll see what happens with the Memphis Police Department and what happens on a larger scale across the country. People are talking about the community policing, which is part of it, but really it's just about police reform. It's about restructuring the whole process. The police are very much like an us versus them type of thing. Like the public is the enemy, public enemy, right? And the public is the enemy in a sense that the public is the one that makes them work hard, but they work for the public. They work for the enemy. The public is the one who's paying them to serve and protect. And then they just take the money and run when they're bad cops. The good cops are very happy to do their jobs and protect and serve. And they take great pride in doing a good, decent job and being a good, decent person and officer. So, hey, Sherry, and we got the four of us. If there's anyone else here that wants to say hi, please do. So nice to see you guys. Oh, the broken hearts. I know. I'm just devastated for these families that have to live with this. And that there's so much of it, just like with the homicides that we've been focusing on with the Idaho 4 and with Kylie Rodney and Trinity Backus, there's so much tragedy. There's not a lot of tragedy like what happened in Idaho with the 4. There's barely any of that, thank goodness, thankfully. But there's a lot of violence against women. There's a lot of unexplained deaths, especially in places like Nevada County. But I don't think Nevada County is unique with that. They might be unique in their numbers because it is insane there, in my understanding, in my estimation. Larissa says, I've been working hard on creating a podcast or platform for victims and survivors to share their stories to the public. That is cool, girlfriend. I love it. It's so empowering. Just yesterday, Alex Erickson did a live about, or was it from the day before, but I watched it yesterday. It was about a 19-year-old young woman in Louisiana who had a fatal incident after being essayed by more than one individual when she had such a high blood alcohol level that she could have been passed out dead from the alcohol poisoning, but she wasn't. And it was just a horrible, horrible situation. She is deceased. The alcohol was 0.31. I mean, that's off the charts. Anyway, Alex was talking about that case, and it was so devastating. And it had just happened in January, like 2 weeks ago, I think. I think it was Louisiana State University is where she was a student. You guys, I'm so glad I brought it up, not only for that case and for Alex Erickson, bless her for covering a horrible, hideous case like that. But that girl was in a sorority, and I'll give you one or two guesses what sorority she was in. I'm looking at my notes so I get it absolutely accurate, because when I review my videos and see my mistakes, I'm like, yesterday I said Trinity Backus's birth certificate instead of death certificate. I was just like, oh my goodness. A second later, I think I referred to it the appropriate way, but still I didn't catch it when it came out of my mouth. And sometimes stuff comes out of your mouth like that and you do catch it and you're like, wait a second, no, that's not what I meant. And then when you don't catch it and you see it later, you're just like, oh, I caramba. Anyway, Alpha Phi. Am I saying it right? Alpha Phi. So the two sororities that we're looking at in Idaho with the Idaho 4 that were on probation for reckless behavior is Pi Beta Phi and Alpha Phi. So people, if your kids are in the Alpha Phi sorority, you might want to take them out. I mean, take them out before they get taken out, right? I mean, talk about reckless behavior. Is that the sorority culture to be like all crazy partying? Because this girl was 19 years old, and I'm not putting any blame on her. She was at a bar, which should not have been serving her. She was underage, and she was, barely able to walk or talk. And I don't know if it's known how she got there. I think it might be assumed that sorority sisters or frenemies went with her, but then left without her. I'm not sure. Anyway, she was an Alpha Phi pledge. So this Alpha Phi is having some serious disturbances, to put it politely. I mean, tragedies, absolute sheer tragedies. I love tea. That's cute. All right. Tea party. I know I love tea parties, but then, that took on a whole new meaning a few years ago. And, I've brought it up with this Idaho 4 case that we're looking at Idaho, which is a highly libertarian state. And probably Tea Party is part of that. Anyway. I don't like to go to the politics. That's not my thing. It's a fine line because it comes into play, but that's not my focus. That's not where I want to put my attention and energy. I want to put my attention and energy on justice. So, I've been working okay, I got that one. That was the one I just highlighted. That's the things we never hear their names, the ones that don't make it. Mm, yeah, and I didn't write this, beautiful young woman's name down, the 19-year-old student that Alex Erickson did her one of her latest drops on. And Pixie Knickers, good morning, good morning, good morning. They make horror movies about people in sororities all the time. It really shows how things can be in real life. You know what, Larissa? I'm so glad you said that because I do not watch horror movies. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been like, no, thank you. So I had no idea. But that makes sense because, yeah, I know there's a lot of like cheerleader type of stuff. Um, and again, misogyny, right? I mean, why not horror movies about fraternity brothers getting uh, disturbed the same way the sorority sisters get unalived in those horror movies? Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. But yeah, it's so much violence of men perpetrating violence against women that we see daily in our culture, and especially in entertainment, movies, and television, and it really normalizes it, right? And it's not okay. And what to me is even more not okay personally is when it's like women perpetrating violence against women. It's that's what the thing in Memphis reminded me of with Tyree Nichols getting murdered by 5 black officers. You know, let me just say this phrase that I don't know if we've really said it in these podcasts. They eat their young, you know, the sororities eat their young, the police departments eat their young, Truckee eats its young, the black community eats its young when you're looking at a situation like what happened in Memphis. I mean, I'm not saying that the black community eats their young because I don't think they do, but I definitely think Truckee eats their young. I definitely think the sororities eat their young, and I definitely know for a fact that police departments eat their young. So the police are getting it from all angles. They're getting it internally as well as externally. That's why I have so much compassion for people who are willing to sign up to do that job, to be in that profession. It's always mainly independent horror movies about that. Kaz thinks says I love horror movies. Well, see, I realized years ago that the reason I like true crime is that when I feel stressed out, watching true crime makes me realize that my stress is pretty minuscule relative to, being killed or like killing, and then like, what do we do with the body kind of stress. I mean, I say that tongue in cheek. And there's really nothing about unaliving that's funny. However, I do believe in keeping it positive and uplifting, and that injecting a little humor here and there is absolutely necessary anywhere in life, but especially in dealing with tragedy, in my humble opinion. I'm always mainly, oh, okay, I did that one. Okay, the next one, Tiffany Crockett. Jazz, did you hear about the young lady they found dead in the Truckee jail after she was arrested for biting her partner? I did, Tiffany, and I started to watch Mama D 1111 Tarot last night about it, but I didn't get to finish. But I was really glad that Mama D was doing a 1 hour or so focus on it. And she was saying that it was really hard to get any information about the deceased. So she's 40 years old. She died in the jail. She was there for 3 days. She, I think, had a boyfriend that she might have met on social media or something. She had a boyfriend who, there was a bad relationship. There was a lot of strife. She had 2 sons. I don't know their ages. And she bit her boyfriend, and she was in jail. And on her 3rd day in jail, she's found dead in her cell. And it's really hard for Mama D was saying it's been near impossible to gather information on her. So anybody who has any information on her, I recommend, if you feel like it, send it over to Mama D and help her out, and she can help on this case because Yeah, it's crazy, and she couldn't find a picture of this woman, this Amy. I don't have her name right in front of me. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Kaz. Amy Wayne Morris. She said that all over Google she kept. Oh, wait. You guys, this is so funny. Okay, I'm pinning Amy Wayne Morris. Hello, please do what I'm telling you to do thing right under placed pinned message. Like, what a goofball design. Right under is report. So it like slipped to report. Don't worry, Kaz. I didn't. I just hit cancel. But just like right above it is go to channel. So if you slip either way, it's bad. And it's so easy to slip, and there's like 8 things. So why would you put those right next to the one that you're most likely going to be utilizing all the time? So of course it's going to slip here and there. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Amy Wayne Morris, Kaz Kaz thinks thank you for that. And then Mama D was not able to find images of her when she was Googling and hitting the image button, like 0 images, which is kind of bizarre. Okay, I'm going to catch up here. Larissa says Tiffany, her name was Amy or something, wasn't it? I've heard about it, got sent some info. All of a sudden, she's found dead in Truckee cell with no obituary and also cremated. Are you effing kidding me? That's highly suspicious. It was already highly suspicious, but that just adds to it. Oh my goodness. That makes no sense to me. If it was him who bit her, then he'd still be walking free. Oh, I know you've had a terrible, terrible experience with the justice system with that type of thing. Kaz thinks says, yay, glad I didn't get suspended. Oh, that's hilarious. Tiffany Crockett, thanks, hon. The family had no say about cremation, too. You're kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. Is that just like a thing with Nevada County or with their jail, that if someone dies in the jail, that's the deal so that they can cover it up? Whoa. Squirrels on Fire is looking into this and communicating with family members. I'm so glad. I know she's had a tragedy in her own life that she shares freely on her channel with her brother. Look at my hair. It's all crazy. I was trying to go without a hat for a day. What a disaster. Anyway, more important things. So Shanda's brother was in Canada and they lost him. He didn't come back alive. And so she's dealt with the stuff firsthand, which is why she's so freaking passionate about Kylie and Amy and Trinity. And, she's been taking a lot of heat too. A lot of heat. And she doesn't deserve it. But, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. When people come at a content creator, they don't realize they're kind of doing the content creator a favor because it just makes you dig your heels in. I've had people come at me and I'm just like, I'm just doing my thing. Like, if you don't like it, you know where the door is. And if you do like it, then thank you. But it really like kind of helps ground you into knowing that you're doing what you need to be doing, because somebody coming at you, you think, oh, should I be doing it different? And you're like, hell no, I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing. So, like I said, the people that are coming at her are just making her stronger. 2 young children that this man is now keeping from her family as well. Oh, hell. I didn't know how old her kids were because she's 40 and I know she had 2 boys. I didn't hear anything about their ages. Do you know roughly their ages or their exact ages, Squirrely Burger? Yeah, Justice, he did it again. By the way, let's see if he stays in jail this time. My son's dad is a piece of work. Well, I'm glad he's in jail. I certainly hope that he stays there. He did it again to someone else, I'm hoping, not you, girl. Not that I'm hoping he did it to somebody else. I'm just hoping that you're not dealing with that. I mean, you're dealing with so much already. And you're so good at it. Again, they're making you stronger, Larissa. When I watched your last video on that situation, the only thought that came to my mind is when is he going to actually want to live one of these poor girls? Oh, you're talking to Larissa. Okay, I'm going to highlight that one. I skipped the Larissa part and then I was like, wait, I'm not putting it all together, but then it makes sense when I looked up and saw Larissa's name. Squirrely Burger, was he just a boyfriend or was he the kid's father? I think he's just a boyfriend, Larissa. That's what I gathered from the Mama D. So yes, Mama D did a video on Amy. Yes, so awesome. I posted Squirrels on Fire. And see, I almost went to your channel, Jay Rana, and I don't even know if you have one. Because I was highlighting it and it almost hit the one right above it, which is scary because then my screen changes and I think I lost you guys. But when that happens, I can just get out of that screen and right back to you. Or so far, that's how it's gone. Anyway, let's get caught up and get onto some notes here. I posted Squirrels on Fire video in my comment section requesting help and did a tagging numerous channels, proof that we have the power to get things moving. That's awesome. That is great. I like your blowout, Jazz. You know what? It's just, nothing. I don't really do anything. I mean, a hairbrush, shampoo, that good old stuff. Thanks, though. That's sweet. Yeah, and my hair's growing. It's getting really long. I have had short hair. I go long, short. I mix it up. I like to switch it up. It's fun. So anyway, back to business. He was just bad hair days are like the worst days in the world, right? But I always like to say the only difference between a bad haircut and a good haircut is a couple of weeks, right? So he was just a new boyfriend, I'm pretty sure. Right, Squirrely Burger. Yeah, that's what it sounded like. Her family can file emergency custody and need to do that immediately. Well, hopefully she has supportive family, Larissa, because yeah, it's really all on the family, as we've seen, like with Trinity and Kylie. If the families don't push hard, nothing's going to happen. John Crawford III is a good example. His father, John Crawford Jr., who knows the ropes and knows the game and it takes all professional protocol, he's been pushing hard. And so he's finally getting somewhere after 9 years, 9 freaking years. But, Kylie's family, Trinity's family, they haven't pushed at all, have they? I mean, I would think that Kylie's biological father or her grandfather possibly would, but I would imagine that they're in a catch-22 between a rock and a hard place. Maybe something similar with Trinity Bacchus's father. I don't know. If Sifa was here, he might be able to share with us, but it's really on the families. If the families don't push, it's super hard for like true crime community to push because we're not family. But like with the Idaho 4, you've got these families that will push. But let's just get right into the Idaho 4 on that note that I'm really concerned. I articulated this in my last video, and I just can't freaking believe it. I know a lot of people are articulating it. But seriously, you guys, the fact that this public defense attorney who's representing the criminal defendant was the defender, the criminal defendant or defending attorney for Xana's mother 4 times. Not all 4 of them were drug charges, I gather, but some of them were drug charges. And then Maddie's stepmother and her father, those were drug charges, I believe, too. If this is like a big drug ring going on and she's like, again, this is all speculation, and she's like the public defender that's keeping the wheels moving, and then she's representing this criminal defendant if there's drugs involved in what happened with the Idaho 4. Again, speculatively, potentially. I think that needs to be seriously considered, especially when you consider the 8-hour time gap, especially when you consider the police being, oh, that's cool. Okay, so you were in a frozen state of shock and fear. Okay. Oh, and then you called your friends and then they came over. Okay. And then you like pulled yourself together and eventually you were able to dial 911. Okay. No problem. Yeah, that's good. I said yesterday, like, imagine if these kids weren't in college. Then I was thinking about it when I was reviewing my video. I thought, so what if they all like worked at pizza places and, shit like that? They were just, 20-year-old, 19-year-old, 21-year-olds without education, without a lot of like goals and structure. And, even if they were white, let's just use a really offensive term. And I'm sorry if I offend anybody. I don't mean it that way. What if they were white trash? Okay. White trash is very classist and racist in a sense. So I apologize if it sounds offensive, but I'm trying to make a point here. If these kids in this house, the four deceased and the two survivors, were what people might term white trash, the cops would be messing with them and hauling their butts into jail, and they could end up like Amy easily, in my humble opinion. So it's horrifying that finding out now that Dylan's mother may work at Idaho University. I want to get that confirmed and I want to know what her job is and I want to know how long she's been there. And her dad, is it her father who's the prosecuting attorney for a county, one or two counties over? And how long has he been there? And where did they go to school? Is she a Idaho University legacy student? Because it looks like a lot of these kids are Idaho University legacy students. It seems like it's one of those schools that, a lot of family members go there, and you kind of get a discount for that, and you get, a feather in your cap for that. You get a gold star, pat on your back, whatever. You get benefits, right? So this might sound crazy, but I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to take that risk because I know I'm not crazy. You guys know I'm not crazy. And if I sound crazy, so be it. So we know that the police chief has lived in Moscow every day of his life. I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that in interviews, or I've seen it in print coming from him, that he's a homegrown local. Nothing wrong with that. But he also looks to me approximately the same age as, say, Kaylee's mother and father, Steve and, is it Kristen? Is that her mom's name? The G's, the G family. So did they go to college there? I'm pretty sure they did. Steve and Kaylee's mom, who I don't want to be getting her name right. I think it's Kristen. I think if somebody knows, you can type it in there and I'll catch up to it. Anyway, I just wondered if they might have ran into each other back in the day, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Just wondered. Could that have any relevancy? The reason I bring it up is because a lot of times, if this is ring kind of stuff, a lot of times that stuff gets passed on generation to generation, you guys. I know it's crazy talk, but anybody who's been around this stuff, anybody who's seen a movie like The Irishman was one of the most recent ones. If you've seen The Sopranos, if you've seen Godfather, or any other of dozens of great movies about such things, it's a long-term kind of retribution payback crap. Let me get caught up with you guys now that I said it, okay? It was a boyfriend she dated for just a couple of weeks, and he has the kids now, and they think he might run with them. Sorry, text to talk, no problem. Larissa, emergency custody application is easy to figure out without a lawyer? Question mark. Nothing's easy to figure out without a lawyer, in my experience. And if it's depending on the situation, like if it's a domestic violence situation, you should be able to retain an attorney that way. Finding an attorney pro bono, however, is really, really rough unless you know somebody personally. There seems to be a hidden tie through the whole puzzle. Well, and that's the drugs, that's probably one of those words that we're not supposed to say on the YouTube. Um, yeah. And she's Xana's mom, power of attorney, right? Help him smack my head. Exactly. And I think that the Xana's mom, power of attorney, I don't know if that's been resolved yet. But the fact that she knows Xana's mom well from defending her 4 times, the fact that she knows Maddie's parents, because it gets into this power dynamic where she's got this information on these people, and if there's a ring, they can threaten people through legal consequences, through retribution. It's just a whole lot of freaking crazy. And I didn't want to go there, but that's what it's looking like to me, you guys. That is what it's looking like. The whole thing with that 8 hours of, we're too scared to make a phone call ordeal. What was going on during those 8 hours? And then you've got Ethan's brother and sister that were there. And are they leveraging against them? Are they threatening them? Like, well, you guys better do what we want you to do, or we'll plant drugs in your cars that we have in our custody, allegedly, in my conspiracy theory. This is how these people roll, you guys. That's no big deal. They do that crap all the time. I'm just going to say it. They do. Or they threaten to do it. They threaten to do it, and they do it. So, Cass, yes, you can print the forms online or go pick them up from your local court. I have done it. Yay, Larissa, you go, girl. Well, they were educated, but some seem to be coming from white team. I don't know what that one means. Katie Van. Good to know, Larissa. Hey, GOP Nick. You're not too late. Don't worry. You can catch up later. Where are we at? We're at 36 minutes. So we need to focus, and I'll tell you why. Because we need to end. It's 8:42. We need to end by 9 so we can hop over to Crime Circus. He's doing a live on the Idaho 4. So I don't want to miss that. That guy hits it out of the ballpark every time, in my humble opinion. Sleaze factor, antenna alert. Okay, you guys, somebody made a comment in my comment section after one of my videos yesterday, and I might talk about it this afternoon. I want to stay focused so that we can all hop over to Crime Circus. So I'll just leave it right there. And please remind me if I forget, but I won't forget. I'm going to try not to. Do you know what Chief Fry's wife does for a living? I heard coroner and I heard clerk. If coroner, maybe that is why students drowned in 1 foot of water. Annie Ruler, I thank you so much, girl. You do an amazing job. You hit it out of the ballpark every time, too. Chief Fry's wife, I have heard clerk, but I don't have any confirmation. Yeah, if she's a coroner, that's scary AF, in my humble opinion, and a conflict of interest, in my humble opinion, even if she's in a county that's not the same county. But even being a clerk, you get into trouble with these situations. Like, again, hearkening back to Judge Ito and his wife, who was an assistant chief who supervised Mark Furman. Like, Judge Ito should have never been on that case, ever. And him and his wife lied, and they were a power couple that met over a dead body at a freaking crime scene. Like, oh, that's so romantic. Like, yeah, you're going to have a good life together. She already had 3 kids from her previous marriage, and she just passed away, I think, this last year. But they have, piles of cash. Even before the O.J. Simpson case, they had the huge house with the huge parties. I mean, Los Angeles, baby, come on. Like, it's just freaking stupid. Okay. I just saw a video this morning connecting a white truck to the girls. Seemed to be following them in a lot of the video published before and circling the house after. So, Squirrely Burgers, that the white pickup truck that people tried to tell me meant nothing? that pulled over into one of the diagonal parking spaces in the video where they're walking from the corner club to the grub truck and they're talking about Atom, same white truck. Because yeah, somebody like tried to make a special point of telling me that people from that college said, oh yeah, parking there at that time of day, night, that's just like a normal thing. It had nothing to do with nothing. You know what? I don't believe anything anybody tells me anyway. So yeah, the white pickup truck. Wow, interesting. So if you remember the video, please mention the channel so that we can all check it out. Larissa, so cool. She says, if I can help in any way. Excellent. Let me get caught up, you guys. GOP Nick says it's an unfair advantage and conflict of interest. It's such a conflict of interest. And usually the people that are called on to deem whether it's legitimately a conflict of interest or not, those are usually friends or they're people that have an investment in being friendly with the people that they're investigating, right? So, such a good point, GOP Nick. Thank you very much for that. Precision, precise, to the point. I just watch share information between channels. I admire the work you guys do, though. You could connect with Shanda or even Kaz thinks. Seems like she's on a good path of helping. Absolutely, yes. And we do have some affiliation, and I love these people. They do amazing work. Cops must have Dylan's phone to figure that out. Well, unless, you know, they didn't want to traumatize her by taking her phone. You know, it's valid to say PTSD, shock syndrome, and all that, but you also have 4 deceased people, and you have 2 survivors who were there who are keys to unlocking the story. If you want to unlock it, like, if you don't want to unlock it, then don't use the keys, right? Let me know. In California, there's tons of help for low-income families. For lawyers, you can even represent yourself easily here in California. Oh, I thought you were in Florida, Larissa. You're in California? I did not know that. For some reason, I thought you were in Florida. I think the 8 hours was cleanup time. Well, that's, you know, that whole thing with that latent footprint really throws me off because it does say in the affidavit that it was like blood. It's implied that it's blood because of the protein solvent that they put on it to get the footprint to surface. But when I spoke with somebody who's an expert and actually a detective, this person told me that it's latent, meaning you can't see it with the naked eye, and that if it was blood that was cleaned up, it wouldn't have been described as having the little diamond shapes of the van shoe print. It would have been described as smeared little diamond shapes of the van shoe print. So it doesn't make sense. So there you go with more crap that doesn't make sense in the affidavit, in the investigation. If it is what they say it is, why did it take a second time going in to find it? And was this like the only shoe print? Because it's the only one they talk about. So are you saying there was no other freaking latent shoe prints or shoe prints that you have in your affidavit? Not one, just that one? And it was right in front of Dylan's door. Was it coming or was it going? I mean, it's just freaking crazy, you guys. It's not me, it's them. I think the 8 hours was cleanup time. Yeah, absolutely. I just let Shan know about the emergency custody via Discord just now so that she could pass it on to Amy's sister. Excellent. Clean up and hatch a plan. Yep. Right. And I was mentioning yesterday too, maybe a chance to clean out your system of any mind altering substances. I want to talk about the mind altering substances too, because, you know, we just use the D word to cover whatever. And, there's specific substances that people like. They have their go-to, whether it's their Molly, their Joe, Mary Jane, Mary Joe, whatever. Um, and that's legal in California, but not legal in Idaho. It's legal in Washington, but not legal in Idaho. Um, and then there's I like to call it the soda pop one, that starts with a C. And then there's the one that people have a lot of stigma about that is very, very hardcore, and that's the H, the special K, as people that use it probably call it when they're speaking in code. And the H special K is much more common these days, you guys. And that's what I'm wondering with this whole thing. Because there still is the stigma around it. There's the shame, there's the judgmental, like, oh, it's okay if you do the soda pop one, it's okay if you do the Molly one, it's okay if you do the Joe Mary Jane one. But no, not those drugs. So it takes me back to the Kylie Rodney case. Like, oh no, not those drugs. Not the regular drugs that we have at our parties. They had those drugs. I remember Ryan Upchurch did a great little monologue about those drugs. The girls saying, no, not those drugs. That was probably H, right? That was probably special K. Like, they kind of try to make it sound like it's the soda pop one, but we know these people all love the soda pop one. It's California. That's like, that's what they live on. Come on. It's just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. But, in a sense, they all go together. The people that are going to be dealing one are going to be dealing all of them. So, in a sense, it doesn't really matter which one is being distributed where, but it usually gets a lot more serious and violent and deadly when you're dealing with the harder substances. Although, historically, you guys, in Northern California, before it was legalized, it was the same with growth operations out there. And it's probably still very much the same with growth operations out there, is what it looked like when we were looking at the Kylie Rodney case and the Trinity Backus case. I also wanted to clarify, when I did my 10 similarities with their cases with Idaho yesterday, and I said something about the parents in all of the cases having had legal trouble for DRUGS. I want to clarify that in the Idaho 4, we know that that's 2 of the victims' parents. I'm not implying that the other victims' parents have anything like that. And in Kylie Rodney and Trinity Backus, I want to rephrase it in that we know that there was the growth of the legal substance there in both stepdads or ex-stepdads. Kylie's stepdad has a big growth operation, and the Trinity Backus's ex-stepdad, the sheriff's deputy Christopher Stanio, had his own growth operation, and fake Auntie Ashley, suspect number 1, had growth operations all around her property, in her backyard, all over the place. And then there's the guy who owns the house that she was renting that shared a post office box with Jagger's mom, allegedly. Okay? The growth operations are huge, and they get just as violent as the hardcore substances historically. And with these cases with Kylie Rodney and Trinity Backus, it was kind of looking to me like that's still a thing, even with it becoming legal, because that has its own set of problems. The people that were used to raking in all the cash didn't have the monopoly on it anymore. So a lot of people have died in Northern California in gunfire over these things for the green stuff, simply for the herb, you guys. A lot of people just machine gunned down like Chicago mobster style. I'm not kidding you. I know this for a fact, not speculation at all. 100% fact. And this is going back to maybe the 70s or 80s, but still, history has a way of repeating itself. Absolutely. So yeah, you stay out of it, okay? I see you, Kaz. I see you. Okay. I was going to say something about that too. Kaz says, Larissa, check it, please. Tagged you in custody order conversation. P.S. Xena needs to master Discord too. And, I've just stayed out of it because I'm so busy with my life and my channel and whatever it is that I do, I get so into it. So I figure if I get into Discord, I'll get lost in Discord. But yeah, I might. I know it seems like I do need to get in there. Squirrely Burger, this guy was doing some backtracking on the way BK took home and ran across that truck parked at the house. Wow. Holy kaboli. Okay, we're 5 minutes from 9 o'clock, you guys. So I want to just get caught up and then hop off so that we can all head over to the other channel, over to Crime Circus. I really want to be there when he starts at 9. This video comes from Dr. Thrifty. Oh, awesome. Write down that name. If I can find my pen. Yesterday I lost my pen during my video and then I found it like tucked way into the seat. I'm just going to have to remember it or get it later. Dr. Thrifty. Oh, wait. No, there it is. Got it. It's so hard to stay on top of everything, and to have a pen handy makes all the difference in the world, you guys. I remember Steve Gonzo was saying that we can all change the world basically if we have a pen and a paper. And it was really cute, but it's true. It's hard to change the world when you think you're going to remember stuff and you can't, and you're like, oh, if I could have written it down, or if you wrote it down and then you can't find where you wrote it down. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty wild. The black pickup truck keeps being brought up by commenter on other channels, wondering if connected to DM, as in maybe her boyfriend's. I know. I'm really curious about that too, Annie Ruler. So that's a great comment. Thank you so much. We need to figure that one out. Where does that truck come into play? Black truck seen on tape of underage drinking with undercover cop body cam. Oh, was it? See, I haven't paid attention to that piece of information right there. But yeah, that whole college campus doesn't seem to care about underage drinking, which they should, because it's a slippery slope and one thing leads to another. But let's please hit that like button, subscribe, and share if you haven't yet and you would like to. I'm going to, let's see how far backed up I am. Oh, I'm backed up a little bit. Let me speed read through these. Black pickup truck. Latent footprints is biological material. Right, exactly. But it just doesn't make sense why they didn't see it on the first go through. And yeah, it makes no sense. Hey, yeah, I wonder if he had that crime survey. Wonder if anybody ever took part of the survey. Haven't heard. Absolutely, Dilly Owens. Very, very sharp point. That's been in the back of my mind this entire time. But yeah, it needs to be brought to the forefront. And Liza says, bingo, the second time is a huge problem. Right. Gives you even more hours than the 8 to plant stuff, huh? Special K is ketamine. Well, thank you, Jay Rana. Back in the day, in the late 70s, Special K was what people called the H. So thanks for letting me know that. Yeah, I know I've heard that too, that it's different now. And yeah, ketamine, whew, that's a whole nother thing. 8 hours and taking some vitamins, drinking some stuff will throw out some tests, and kids know that, right? Aren't talking about marijuana here. I feel those kids were doing drugs. I'm sorry, but look at the parents. Look at what Brian was doing in high school. Exactly. That's why I'm talking about the H substance, because I'm thinking that might be part of this whole picture with the Idaho 4. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Age common because they can't get oxygen any longer. I think you meant Oxycontin or something, and your spell checker got you. Can't get oxygen. Oh no. Yes, oxy is much harder to get. And we can get history of addiction from her hair. I have no clue about forensics did it. I definitely contribute to the drugs. to the weight loss and not sleeping at night is definitely a sign. Very good points, Miss Owens. Ms. Owens, thank you. Autocorrect, sorry, cannot get oxycodone. Exactly. Liza, hair test in, where did that one go? It jumped. Hair test, in which case, thank you. Kaz, I was thinking a DM. There you go. I think they need hair tests. I think they need to really look at that DM. I think they need to really look at her parents. I think there's something there. Kat, and also Bethany. Also Bethany. I think they, I mean, at least to rule them out, if nothing else, at least to rule out the H factor, if nothing else. But something's going on. I smell a rat. I'll just say that. I know for a fact that I'm smelling rat. I like to say rat bastard. Feels better that way. Rat's just too short. Anyway, or drat and double drat is also fun. I think they need hair test. Drugs weren't involved in the deaths across the board, at least in these cases. I'm not saying that any of these kids were using that substance, if that's, I don't know if that was misinterpreted, but I do want to wrap up. We're at 9:01, so I'm going to just go ahead and kick off here, you guys. I apologize if it's a little abrupt, but I did give you warning. So I'll go through my quick spiel of taking care of yourself and having a great day and making sure you drink your water and eat your protein and your produce, and just being kind to yourself, being forgiving to yourself and other people, and demanding that people are kind and forgiving towards you too. So it's all very important. You know, don't accept anything less than proper respect, and, you know, treat people the way you want to be treated. So I will see you guys this afternoon. Let's say 2 o'clock, so that it's yeah, let's say 2 o'clock. And I'm just going to read the last one here. I'll catch up on what I missed later. I agree, but they need it to forensic them in order to be cleared, or doubt arrives in the court of law. Right. And that's the whole thing, is ruling things out. Absolutely. Ruling things out. Dilly says, I thought Special K was the COKE. Thanks for cluing me in. So yeah, back in the 70s, it was H, and now it's like ketamine. So anyway, thanks you guys. Peace out. And I'm going to hop over to Crime Circus, and maybe I'll see you there in the chat. Have a great day. Thanks again. Sending you light and sending you love.